Hey, welcome to For the Story, the only podcast that shaves its underarms for maximum aerodynamic capacity. My name's Avery.
And I'm disturbed by that introduction.
You never shaved your underarms? It felt like you could run faster?
I'm not really a run places type of guy. I like to bench my way.
You swim everywhere.
I like to bench press my way around town.
That's fascinating.
It's not fast, though. Fascinating, not fast.
Yeah, you must look kind of ridiculous, but hey, man, whatever floats your boat, you know what I mean?
Freaking beast.
Anyway, welcome to the Porn Corner, to the film hole, I would like to call it. That's a pretty bad one, right?
Oh, God. No, I'm good.
Oh, are you okay? I thought something terrible was about to happen. I was like, oh,
it's
no.
Called acting. Something they do in the film we watched this week, Avery. What was it?
The film we watched this week, John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982.
Not a pornographic film, despite what the title inferred to me.
We used to have a bit back when we were still reviewing porn films where we would change Criterion Collection movies to the titles to like porno titles, and I think The Thing is one that you just wouldn't have to change.
We had a surprising amount of those. I'm like, ooh, gross.
Yeah, we had some weird ones. I can't even remember now, but yeah, go figure. Hey, so what do we got up top? You have anything new? Did you see any movies other than The Thing, obviously, which we're gonna get to shortly?
No, I finished Daredevil. It was awesome. Really good.
Yeah, I need to start it.
Yeah, maybe I'll force you to one of these months.
I think you're going to, and I think I'm going to get hooked and I'm really going to like it, because that's what always happens.
It is probably, I don't know, it's a lot better than a lot of things. It's just so well choreographed. I don't know. I just like...
You messaged me today talking about an episode where they started off with like a 12-minute... single shot.
Wasn't how they started it off, but like they do this thing where they always do like a long shot. The first season it was this hallway fight, kind of a Old Boy reference. Do you ever see Old Boy?
I haven't seen Old Boy. No.
Old Boy. That's a sweet movie. And
I love we're just stacking the films up here. This is great.
So many. And then
I think we're both enjoying our new format.
Yeah,
that means
it's so much better. We disagree on stuff, which is great, and it's not everything's garbage. Our lives suck.
That's the thing about watching porn for, like, ironically, is that it ends up just being exhausting.
It's emotional terrorism on the side.
Yeah, it really was. It was like draining us. Towards like the end, I could like listen to our podcast and I was like, man, we hate this.
We used to be friends.
We hate doing this. Yeah, like, oh my God.
I'm surprised it didn't
feel my brain being brutalized. It would have been better if
we just let it keep going and it culminated in just like a very real argument to like the podcast actually being canceled.
Oh my God, that would be like top tier. Could you imagine?
Audio drama.
Like we joked about we joked about like staging fake beef. Like how we were going to like start fighting. Like we were going to show it through the Instagram and I'd make like a competing Instagram and we would argue back and forth. We never did
off
that.
Into two podcasts.
It could still be on the table.
Story and For the Story-er.
For the story. Or the number 4 the story.
Number 5 the story.
Yeah, 5 the story. That's what it would be.
By the way, to our listeners, a slight change. We're not watching Chronicle. We're going to be watching instead The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah, we joked about this. I don't know if we talked about it at all on the show yet, but neither of us have seen the first one.
I've seen the first one. You haven't.
Oh, okay, even better. I was talking to Sydney, and she was saying that she saw the first one, so I was going to go with her, and I would just be totally going into it cold.
I love it.
And I'm going to be like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I think it's going to be fun.
I just want you to know, like, one of the competing fan theories, there's a human, non-magic folk in the film whose name's Kowalski, and he's going to become, in one of these future movies, people think, a fantastic beast, and cross over into the Pixar world into Mike Kowalski from Monsters, Inc.
No. For like, is this a legitimate thing, or are you making this up?
I am making it up. Kowalski.
Oh, okay. I think his name was Wazowski
Goddamn.
too. But that woman who smoked cigarettes. Hey,
I'm sorry
honey.
if it's jingoistic
Mike
against
Wazowski.
any kind of Polish people.
What?
Kowalski, isn't that a Polish last name?
Was it? Oh my god. Yeah, maybe. I hope so. So we're gonna review that. I can't remember what the date was for that. I could look it up real quick.
In November.
The 16th. No, that's gonna be Mystery Men. It was the 23rd. So we're gonna review Crimes of Grindelwald.
And then we'll do.
Grindelwald. I can't even say it.
Then we'll do Mystery Men. All right? Because we have 5 weeks.
No, so coming up for the next month, so we're all clear and the listeners are clear as well. We got The Thing that you guys are listening to now. The 9th is going to be the first 4 episodes of TV show The Good Place. The 16th of November is going to be Mystery Men. The 23rd will be Crimes of Grindelwald. And the 30th will be The Man from Earth.
Cool. All right.
Yep, so that's what we got coming up this month for you
revised
guys.
it. Perfect. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good schedule we got there. We will review Chronicle at some point, though. I think
Although
that was a good
I did find
pick.
out something interesting. Number one, that guy was found by doing YouTube videos of found footage stuff and ended up at the pinnacle of superhero movies with Chronicle and then fell down to the ground with Fan 4 Stick.
Yeah.
He did Fan 4 Stick.
Very interesting.
Do you remember Fan 4 Stick?
Yeah, I do. And I know what you're talking about. Yeah, man, that movie was bad. If there's one thing that never needs to ever be remade ever again, it's the Fantastic Four. It's really interesting because I'm pretty sure that the only reason these movies keep getting made is so they don't lapse the rights.
Yeah.
So they have them just in case.
The Fantastic Four is so good in the comics. It makes me so sad. But it can be made. It's called The Incredibles. I don't know what you're talking about. The Incredibles is just Fantastic Four, only good.
Yeah. I think maybe we're getting into a little bit deep and a little off track here, but I think the reason it works as an animated movie is because their powers are pretty silly. You know, I think they work better as a cartoon than they really do as a live action, take this seriously kind of movie.
Wait, are you saying that It's Clobbering Time doesn't belong in a drama? Because I disagree with you, my friend.
I might be saying that. I
frequently say that in arguments with people I'm intimate with.
It's clobbering time. Yeah. Arguments, legitimate debates.
I'm frequently.
He's running for Senate. What's your platform? It's clobbering time.
Very warmongery guy. Oh god.
Oh my god. Everyone's like, vote for clobbering time.
Make America clobbering.
Yeah. So.
All right. Let's talk about this fucking movie.
All right. Okay, yeah, let's get into this. Normally we start with our expectations. I've already seen this, so I already know. I was the one who recommended this, and I knew what I was getting into on my way in. I didn't really have any new expectations.
What were your expectations of me to get out of it, though?
Of you getting out of it? I thought you would really like it more than it seems you did. Because we were talking a little bit before the podcast, and I thought you were really gonna enjoy it, but it seems like we just have differing tastes. Which come on, that makes sense.
My expectations. I hadn't seen it since 8th grade. I liked it back then. I remember certain hallways from the movie.
It is a lot of hallways.
But there's specific hallways.
That's going in my comments.
Too many hallways.
A lot of hallways.
Yeah. Those were my expectations, is that I liked it when I was in 8th grade.
So you should like it now. Well, tastes change too. Yeah. Yeah, man, I mean, I happened across this movie. I was pretty young. I would have been maybe 9 or 10 the first time I saw it. I used to, way back when, I would go over to my dad's place after my parents split, and he would always have the science fiction channel on. And on the weekends when I would visit him, they would do all just movies all day. They didn't really do a lot of TV stuff during the week. They do a lot of television, just like TV shows. But they would do movie marathons, and they would have a theme for the weekend, and they would just play a whole bunch. And it was one of the ones that would come on at like 2:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday, which I think this movie is really great at that time of day. I don't know why. Probably for this reason. It's kind of nostalgic.
It kind of feels like a hangover movie.
It is kind of a hangover movie. It's like the effects or something are just like gooey and kind of campy and fun. So that might be what it is. But yeah, and I remember when I saw it, I thought it was like the scariest thing ever because I thought the effects were disgusting. All of the stuff just really got to me when I was a kid. Watched it again later as an adult, thinking like, oh, I remember that movie. I should like really get through it all the way. And I sat through it all the way, and it just like it gets like a little part of my brain. And I haven't seen many movies very much like this one. Apparently you have, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So this movie goes way back for me, and it's been one of my favorites for a long time. But yeah. So if that's it for expectations, should we move on?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, yeah. Do we want to start with pros? That's kind of what we usually do,
I got
right?
a huge pro. Probably my favorite thing was the noises that the thing made. I really liked it when the thing went skrrrrah.
I forgot about that part. And when it went brat, brat.
Okay, jokes aside, probably my favorite. They were just like this movie. What this movie did really well was like the little things, like the way the dog would just stare in one direction. Like it's because someone was holding a treat. Like,
oh yeah,
but it was very unsettling.
That is like the best trained dog in the history of film. It's like so still and like you said, unsettling.
Yeah.
Like you could tell that it's like you can almost like see into its brain, like thinking like it's like thinking, and there's something very very wrong with that dog, which is if you didn't know, that's pretty much how the movie starts out. You see a helicopter fly over a mountain in what's supposed to be Antarctica, but I'm pretty sure it's just Alaska.
Yeah, it's close enough.
And they're chasing after this dog. They bring the dog into their research facility in Antarctica, and the dog is immediately acting weird. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I don't know. That dog is great. And I think that's a really good way to start the movie off.
I mean,
because you don't know anything about it, but you know it's wrong.
The dog's like acting chops. If you were... also, that dog lived to be 18. Fun fact. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Really?
big old husky. But
damn, it's like...
it was more like when he would sit and stare. That was like the part that really I loved about the dog more than anything. Because otherwise I'm like,
yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know what it was. But because like I knew exactly how they were performing that the whole time. But it was just like creepy. Also maybe the fact that he was like creepy. Attacking dogs, and it really bugged me and like kind of bummed me out. Didn't like all the dead dog stuff.
Yeah, that's probably one of the like most gruesome scenes in the movie. And what we're referring to is basically they put this dog in the cage with their own dogs that they have in the research facility, a whole bunch of other huskies. And what happens is because this dog is an alien that tries to replicate stuff, it tries to absorb all of the other dogs. And there's a part where it like shoots this acid at like one of the other dogs, and it like melts the dog, and it's really, really gross and actually kind of sad too. So if you don't like dogs getting killed in horrific ways,
I mean, Avery loves this movie, guys. Remember, Avery loves this movie, so he's a big fan of hurting dogs.
I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing here. That's not what I'm saying.
Your Honor, I didn't do it.
I didn't advocate the murder of dogs.
With acid, specifically.
Specifically with acid. Yeah, that part's so gross. The effects guy, Rob Bottin, who we'll talk about in a little bit, I really want to talk about him. He actually manipulated those tentacles by hand during that part, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff going on.
Yeah, I was really impressed with like how the tentacles moved, and just because I know it was all practical effects, like in my opinion, like a lot of it, what kind of freaked me out earlier in life didn't really hold up as much. I definitely saw through a lot more of it than I used to, but at the same time it was very impressive for like practical effects, you know, kind of even beyond like a Star Wars or what have you, in terms of just how I thought the practical effects, like, you know, it's one entity, but I think they executed it really well and made it move in a very unique way.
Oh yeah. There's one thing that practical effects, you know, I'm sure other people have probably said something similar, but the reason that I've always preferred practical effects, especially in this day of everything being CGI, is that the lighting works in the real world. So because you have a physical object in the room with the actors, it feels more real because it's literally there. The actors can look at it. They know exactly where to look. You know, the actors can interact with it because it's a real thing that's in the room. And because of the light, you know, that's something that's always really difficult to get with CGI, is adding those lighting effects and making it look like it's actually there. And that's why your eyes can tell CGI apart from everything, because it looks fake. It looks like it's a computer.
I mean, they're getting better.
Or made
they're
by a
getting
computer.
better, but, you know.
It's getting there, but it's still just right in that uncanny valley. You know what I mean?
It's just the upper lip of Harry Cavill everywhere.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. That CGI, like no more mustache thing. That's such an interesting story. That because it's Henry Cavill, right? That's his name. He had signed a contract
for Mission Impossible
to be for Mission Impossible 3, where or whatever, not Mission Impossible 3, but whatever
12.
Mission Impossible was. Yeah, something like that. Where he had to have the mustache, and then he had to come back and do research shoots for Justice League because it was terrible, and so like they had to like graphically remove his mustache, and it looks terrifying.
But you know who kept their mustache? Wilford Brimley in this movie.
You're goddamn right. Wilford Brimley is in this
frankly,
movie.
his mustache is more in it than he is.
Yeah. And I think what's great about him is that he still looks old, even in 1982. And that guy's still alive.
Oh, yeah.
He's kicking with diabetes, but he's still alive. Yeah, he's been acting for like 60 years or something. I doubt he's in anything anymore, but... Yeah.
He's not even in those diabetes commercials anymore. Is he?
Yeah, he's probably really like getting to the end. That's so grim.
Is he dead?
Oh my God! What
is he?
I don't think he's dead, man. I'm pretty sure he's still alive. We can look it up.
He's in pre-production for a movie called Cellophane.
No way. Yep. Oh my God! No way.
Also, can I weird theory craft for you a little bit? So this movie came out in 1982, correct? So the man on the helicopter shooting at the dog, Larry Franco, who I joked about being James Franco's like father or whatever, he's not.
Yeah.
But you know who he was while this movie was being made?
Who?
The brother-in-law of Kurt Russell. And 2 years after this movie came out, him and his wife got divorced. So my question is, what was going on behind set?
Oh my God. Yeah,
Isn't
I don't know.
Crazy?
Maybe directly related. So he was Kurt Russell's brother
while this movie was going on.
Weird.
He divorced Jill Russell.
So what are you implying?
I'm implying that fucking, Kurt Russell gave him some big trouble in his little China.
Hey, I like it. Hey, maybe. I doubt it. I mean, maybe. Is Kurt Russell married? I don't think he's not gay, is he? I have no idea, actually.
Well, he's what's his face's father.
He's what's his face? Who?
Fuck, what's his name? God damn it.
Kurt Russell.
Chris Pratt's dad.
He's 67.
I don't know the difference between. I don't know the difference between movies and real life. Help, help me.
Help.
But
he has to have kids. Yeah, he's married to Season Hubley. Oh, until 1983. So, like, literally, like, a year after.
Do you think they're married now?
This movie came out. No, they're not married now. They were only married for, like, 4 years.
Oh, him and Larry Franco.
I don't know if he's married now, though.
Their spouses for one another. That's not true. That would have been...
That'd be a beautiful story. If that's the case, good for them.
But that's not the case. He's married to someone else now, Larry Franco. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, well. I liked the theory crafting. Yeah. Hey, you never know. Wait, this is all we're speculating. This isn't none of this. We're not saying this is fact. But like, yeah. I mean, who knows? Where were we?
We're still trying to talk about stuff.
This movie, we were definitely talking about the special effects.
Yep. Which is good for the thing, and I would argue nothing else.
Oh yeah. Wait, what do you mean?
The fucking computer scene. Oh my
where he's
god,
like-
my eyes were burning looking at the fucking asteroid graphics on that computer.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny how like it reminds me of the computer in Alien. How like they're supposed to be like in space with these like high tech like spaceships in 70 whatever year that was. It was like 79, I think Alien came out. I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe 78. Yeah. And it was supposed to be like high tech, but now it's just like all like CRT green text and stuff, and it just looks goofy. And they're like asking computers like questions, like it's AI, and it responds with an answer, but it's just like on like this green text CRT.
Yeah, and I was so
it reminds me of that
by,
a lot.
By in general, like how it worked. I didn't hear any like typing sounds or anything, so it just seemed like it was popping up stuff, but it seemed like he was inputting stuff. I don't understand what was happening.
What'd you think about Kurt Russell's chess wizard?
Oh my god, I don't even.
Yeah, and he loses, so he pours his whiskey in it, and it breaks the chess wizard.
Was that
with,
early
like,
product
sparks
placement
and stuff
for that one whiskey brand?
I have no idea. Maybe it's like a subtle like maybe John Carpenter hates chess, and he just like wanted to drop a subtle. Or like he's saying like fuck technology. He hates computers.
Was that around the time of Deep Blue? When was the first AI chess that could beat or when they were trying to beat
like a world? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that was like the 90s.
Yeah, it sounds like the 90s. I don't know about this stuff.
Yeah, let's see. I know what you're talking about. It was called like Deep Blue, right? Deep Blue.
From outer space. No, it's Deep Space Nine.
Deep Blue may refer to chess computer. Yeah, 1997.
Interesting.
It defeated world champion Garry Kasparov in 1997.
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay, and probably is right because you're looking it up. But
well, I mean, it's on Wikipedia. Anybody can change this shit. I can change this right now.
Please don't.
In 1897. Just change history. No. Yeah. So I thought all that stuff is funny. All the old computers are like really hilarious.
Yeah.
And his big ass tape recorder he has.
I like that they were watching old VHS tapes. He's like, I know how this one ends. And also,
yeah, they're watching like, what is it? It's like Wheel of Fortune or something like that.
Also, respect for breaking the mold. Black guy doesn't die first. Way to go, movie.
Yeah, actually, and one of the two black guys, Keith David, ends up being like one of the most important characters in the movie.
Yeah.
He's like basically this like right
Although
there.
frankly,
it's cool.
who is a rollerblading guy?
That was T.K. Carter, who played Knowles.
Yeah, he was.
And then Keith David played Childs.
He was fun because he was rollerblading.
Yeah. And like there's a scene he like rollerblades into the kitchen after the one guy tells him to turn down the music, and he's just like nope and rollerblades away, like pretends to turn it down. He's like fuck you.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. Wilford Brimley's great. Keith David, all of their performances are just superb. I think like they really captured the spirit of these guys being isolated in Antarctica. Yeah. And like they're all kind of going stir crazy.
Yeah. Now, were they supposed to be a research team or a military team?
It's a research team. So they're at a research base.
Flamethrowers and like.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, it seemed like they.
I don't know. Possibly.
Like, I didn't understand everything.
Possibly for mining ice.
Oh yes, the elusive ice miners.
Well, I think honestly, if anything, it might be because they're there all winter and they need to melt the ice like around the facility if it ices up or something.
And like guns.
Yeah.
And like they have shotguns.
They didn't have a lot of guns. They did. They have that case of shotguns.
Like, what do they think's gonna happen?
They might get attacked by an alien, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what the U.S. government was like. Or are they a U.S. government or are they private? Like I don't.
I don't think it's ever really established like if it's private or not. But there is a point where the guy who's trying to get a hold of, I forget the character's name, but he's trying to get a hold of everybody else at McMurdo Station, which is like the biggest outpost on Antarctica. He's trying to get a hold of them. And that's a U.S. outpost. So I'm going to say probably United States rather than private. And now all of them are like Americans. And it seems like they work kind of closely with the Norwegian people that were like over like a little ways away. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I understand like why they acted the way they did.
You feel like what?
Like I'd understand how they acted, why they acted the way they did if I knew like more about that. I just was confused on my end, just because like I get that that kind of doesn't matter, but like things like not going to that station on the helicopter, but choosing to go to the Norwegian base, like I don't understand.
Well, I think the idea is that the station is really far away.
Yeah, but you have a helicopter.
So because I think, I guess so, and they did have to get there some way. But I think when they go to the Norwegian facility. And they only go there and back before anything even has started to happen. So they don't even know there's a problem at that point.
Like they could like at least be like, hey, we're trying to get in contact with you. Why aren't we able to be in contact? Or just like try and get new radio equipment from there or something. Because that seems like a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's because of a storm or something. Because it comes up later. There's like a storm that like keeps them from contacting McMurdo at all. They never are able. Because at the beginning they're trying to get a hold because they find the dog, and then they come back and try to get a hold of McMurdo after they see what happened at the Norwegian station, and they bring back the corpse of the alien. And and they're trying to get a hold of McMurdo because now it's like a problem, and they can't get a hold of them at all. Because they're like, all of the Norwegians are dead. What the hell are we doing? Like, this is not good. This is really, really weird. And McMurdo is kind of how I think everybody gets into Antarctica. But that's just from what I know in the real world. I could be wrong. But, I don't know. That's what I think. But other than that, I always love the way everything seems so isolated. Antarctica is such a good setting for something like this.
Yeah.
Because it's like they really are just out there and they're like losing their minds, and then all of this crazy stuff happens.
I mean,
so they're already probably kind of paranoid of each other.
Like, in general, as like a barrier for kind of horror thriller type situations, having snow outside makes for like a storm outside, a snowstorm makes for kind of forcing it into confinement. It was really great when they did it in The Shining.
Yeah, very tense. Yeah, which you compare this movie to a lot.
Yeah, they have the same aesthetic.
Which I think is interesting.
They have the same aesthetic. A lot of hallways, a lot of isolation, snow.
A lot of hallways, that's a good point.
And just certain shots, like the shots of, what's his face, TK Carter, Knowles, him like rollerblading down the hallway. I'm like, oh, that's just straight out The Shining. Like there are certain shots where you just see it really clearly when you're really familiar with it. And then also Alien. Yeah. It reminded me a lot of Alien in a lot of ways.
Lots of hallways. Lots of people running through hallways. Yeah. You're totally
the turn
right.
of the 80s. It's all about the hallways, baby.
Hey, all about those hallways. You can't have a horror movie without a hallway scene or 10.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's something that I do kind of mark as a con. The set for this movie kind of seems uninspired. It feels real. Like, it feels like what a research facility in Antarctica would be until they start, like, shooting holes in the walls and, like, breaking down doors and shit. And then it's kind of just, like, it seems a little flimsy to be in Antarctica.
Like, there was, like, a millisecond. Like, I realized otherwise very quickly. But when they flew into the Norwegians one, I thought that they came back from the Norwegian one and the place was burnt down because they looked the same.
They did look very similar. Honestly, they probably just had like...
Yeah, because they blow it up at the end of the movie, so maybe they just shot those out of sequence. Which isn't a good choice. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it is kind of...
They probably did use the same location. I never thought about that. They might have done that. And then shot it from like the other side of like the camp or something. Yeah, it's possible.
It's interesting.
There's some really good matte paintings in this movie. Do you know what a matte painting is? Have we talked about this before?
No.
So a matte painting is what people used to use in movies to show like a very large area with the actors inside. So basically it's a painting. Somebody painted it. It's a work of art. And what they do is they shoot actors in front of a blue screen and then project the painting onto the blue screen so it looks like the actors are there. But it's like it's used a lot in the scene where they find the flying saucer. Yeah. That is all a matte painting. And basically It's used a lot. Fuck, what else did they use it in? There's in Star Wars they use them quite a bit.
I kind of now that you've described what it is, I definitely like noticed that.
Yeah, and you'll probably notice it more in older movies now that you can like kind of look for it. They're sometimes kind of obvious. Often they do a really good job of like fitting them in, and I think this movie does a pretty good job of doing that. It's only the one really that they have, but that's like an old school effect. Like back before people just made landscapes like that with computers, they actually made a real painting and like put the actors in front of it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that is really cool.
Lots of different techniques used for this movie, which is really cool.
I respect that.
Special effects. Yeah, I think that's interesting stuff. I mean, like this is all like an art with these special effects that are in this movie, which I feel like this is one of like the pinnacles of practical effects. Definitely. At least for me.
I definitely like it more than
like
a lot of
that
other
stuff
ones.
is.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. I feel like that's like kind of a lost thing, you know, because people don't make movies like this anymore. It's all just done with computers. Even the remake of The Thing.
Oh,
so
God.
It wasn't a remake, but so it came out in 2011. Yep. I have a lot to say about this movie. Came out in 2011. It's supposed to like tell the story of the Norwegian camp, which you don't need to know about. But that
guess
aside,
what? It's the same fucking story, but this time with fucking Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
So basically, what they were trying to do with this movie, and this is what they did at first, was make a whole like spiritual successor to the 1982 one, and they were going to do practical effects, and they actually shot a significant portion of the movie with practical effects. And in post-production, one of the producers, I guess, forced his hand on the movie, and they did CGI over the practical effects that they made. So this effects team probably spent hundreds of hours making these effects, and then they put CGI over top of it in post.
Oh, God.
Which is like the most offensive thing. That's just like terrible. Those poor guys. And like I saw some of the stuff, like the props that they made, and they looked awesome. And they didn't even make it into the movie. And they probably spent a lot of money making them too. It just seems like a waste, and everybody was really let down by that. Because like fans of the movie.
Yeah, I mean like
especially of the 82
It can
one.
be effective to use CG alongside practical effects, but not over.
Yeah. And it's really interesting, like, because it was like not very good CG either. Like it didn't look really good, and it was like in this really harsh lighting, which I think made it look even worse.
I think,
I think honestly, it just ended up being like why did they do that? Like why would they do that? Like especially when one of the strongest points of this movie from '82 is its practical effects. And it's just like you're trying to call this movie The Thing, and it's like it's not even the same. It doesn't even hit the same notes because of that. Just kind of weak. But yeah, the guy who did the effects, his name is Rob Bottin.
You mentioned.
We were talking about his credits earlier, but he worked on a whole bunch of stuff, and he was uncredited on a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull up that list again.
I think you might have talked about it already. Since we started recording.
Yeah. Did it? Yeah. Did I? Oh my God. Am I just like, maybe I'm the worst.
You're trying to avoid the what didn't we like about the movie part, I think.
I don't have a lot to say about for cons. I think you do.
So I'm going to get fake mad for a second. The intro shot. Why did it cut like 20 fucking times? Each one of those shots was awesome. But why did it cut so much? It was so many I get it. It's over the Arctic. It's cool. Like, but you really could have gone for like a Fargo shot where it's just like long, and he does them later. I don't understand why there were so many damn cuts in the first like 2 minutes of the movie where you're following this helicopter follow a dog. I don't need five different angles of the helicopter. I get what's going on. Show me one cool shot and then build on it.
You know what I think? Why they cut so many times?
Why?
I think that they rented a helicopter and they got a ton of like sequences. They filmed the helicopter a ton because it was probably really expensive and they wanted to get their money's worth out of it. And then in post, they probably realized how much footage they actually had and it was just like they maybe they were like cutting it all together, and they were just like, well, we want to use all of these shots.
It doesn't make it a good idea.
And so they ended up.
It doesn't make it a good idea.
No, not at all. Not at all. I can agree with you. It did cut a lot. I really honestly like a lot of that. But that intro, I think it opens really well. It's a really good cold intro to the movie. No pun intended.
But it's like it's not an interesting
Antarctica,
background for you to have to do that. It's not like it's got more fucking cuts than a modern action sequence. Like,
yeah,
like.
Yeah, a lot of cuts for not a lot of. I personally agree with you completely. If I shot that movie, I would have done a static shot and I would have made it really wide.
Yeah.
And it would have been the dog running, and then behind it, it would be the helicopter.
Just give me the scope of like how empty and how far these guys have to travel.
Desolate.
And just like how isolated.
Yeah, instead, they're running, and apparently the dog just runs to this compound, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I really like during that opening part where one of the characters.
Back to likes.
What's his name?
You bastard.
Yeah. Sorry, I know. I just keep remembering things.
Cool.
But he like pulls out his gun when the helicopter's coming and just breaks the window and like shoots out the window. It's so ridiculous. Like
I hate that.
Why do they have so many
Why
guns?
did he do that? That's such a bad idea.
It's so weird. Yeah, but go figure.
This was just the weird sex child of H.P. Lovecraft, Alien, and The Shining. I understand why it's a big deal as a movie. Don't get me wrong. But man, the fact that it came out after those two movies just really, like, very... Kind
of undercuts it for you?
Yeah, it really does. The soundtrack we talked about, not good.
Weak. This is one of the biggest criticisms of this movie, and you're not the only person to say that, nor am I. There are so many stings. Like when they're in the Norwegian camp and like they find all this stuff going on there, there's just this high pitched strings that like it's very tense, but it seems to go on too long and it kind of drowns out the dialogue, which I don't really like.
But it's super trying to be The Shining. That's exactly what The Shining did, but they actually did it really, really well. Because like that was the point. In this movie, that wasn't the point. They just did it because they're like, wow, this is a new way to reach like the pinnacle of tension is just like synths and strings grinding and just like putting you on edge like with your ears and then like but giving you very little visually, and it just builds and builds and builds. But it wasn't but it just drowned out like because this is like a plot. This movie could have done well with zero anything for like music, in my opinion. I think
honestly it could have gone in either direction. It could have been like more like up tempo during the action parts instead of this like really like dull sounding like the do you know what I mean? It was just tones. It almost sounded like maybe like kind of like I don't know how to put this, almost like a TV show. Kind of,
a little hokey,
and it's just like this like low pulsing thing. I think something like a little more upbeat might have served it, but I do think that there are parts where like they have the bum bum, bum bum, like serve to like build like the illusion of isolation in some parts. So I think that there were elements of it that are good, but there are elements that are just not like too much. Just too much.
For me, like,
not.
I would have gone with like full no music because I think that is the most isolated and desolate you can be, and just because I feel like everything else about the sound quality was really good. I just didn't. It didn't add anything for me. I will say another positive was like the way the head opens up like a flower of the thing.
Oh my god, the thing's so terrifying.
It's the elder thing from At the Mountains of Madness, which this movie also kind of is. But it's like, I'll send you a photo of the elder thing because tell me it isn't a direct thing. But no, I thought that design was very, very cool. I wonder, did they?
Yeah, all of the puppets and creatures in this movie really look great. That's such a like strong part, and it's always so like. It's all like malleable, how like every little part that comes off of it turns into its own creature. And it's like it actually works into the story later too, that it can split off and be like a whole bunch of different stuff at once. because that's how they figure out towards the end of the movie when McCready, Kurt Russell, has all like the blood samples.
Yeah.
And he's just like testing each one.
Very tense scene.
There's a very tense scene. That's such a well executed.
That one was really good.
Absolutely great. One of the things that I always think is really goofy. This is, I guess I could call this a con. It's kind of endearing looking at it now, so it's kind of a pro and a con, but it kind of takes me out of the movie a little bit and makes me giggle. When they do that scene and they finally get to the guy who is the Thing, I'm not going to spoil it too much.
If you haven't seen the Thing at this point, it's just
you should probably see
like,
it.
I don't care.
You've probably already seen it.
I don't care if you haven't seen it.
You're listening to us. Yeah. So like he tests the blood samples. There's a part where the creature like rises out of the one guy and it bites the head off the other guy, and it's like this puppet like flopping around, and it looks pretty hilarious.
Because the body doesn't look like it has weight.
It looks like it has no weight. It looks like a stuffed animal.
Also, if these guys are researching, why did he test the dead people? Like, shouldn't he be smart enough to be like, yeah, this is like maybe the dead people. The guy who got like fucking shot and didn't react. He's not.
Well, the reason that they tested the dead people
was as like a baseline.
Sort of, but they also, because the alien itself can take on the form of these people, right? And because of that, it can pretend that it's dead because any part of it could be alive at any time,
how do they
right?
know that?
Well, I think McCready kind of like figures it out throughout the thing because he notices after they do the defibrillator on the one guy that the head like drips off, and because it becomes its own monster before he shoots it with the flamethrower. So he's like, oh my goodness, like every part of this thing becomes its own creature as it separates. So it, like for maximum preservation.
Right.
And so that's why he was testing the blood.
But why does that infer that if like that it wouldn't have reacted and played dead? Like that's the part that doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, because if they were still dead and they had some of the blood samples from the people that were dead, any part of that thing could still come to life.
Yeah, but how would you know that it was able to play dead though? Because based off of everything that they've done to it, like when you kill it, it just turns into another creature. So it almost infers that if it was one of them, it would have just gone full apeshit. Like from my perspective.
Well, that's part of the story though. Is the whole paranoia, is that this thing is pretending to be any one of the people in the crew. So it can't just really go apeshit, because once it does that, they just blast it with the flamethrower. So it knows it's going to get killed if it just turns into the alien and tries to kill them.
I don't think
because
it really
it's kind of weak at that point.
Intelligent. It seems more like a parasite.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. That's what I think. That's what I always got from it, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it just didn't quite. Yeah. I just guess they don't really make, like, even as, because like the whole thing is that they're discovering things about it, but even so, the rules of the thing aren't the most clear, in my opinion.
I feel like they're pretty clear.
I feel like they're definite.
I've also seen this movie like 15 times. Yeah. So I like even this time I'm picking up little things, you know. So maybe that's just what I'm getting from it because I've seen it a ton. But like, there's even a scene where Dr. Blair is like testing the blood samples underneath a microscope, and he sees how like even individual cells, and he tells McCready about all of this.
Oh, is this the terrible computer instead of an actual microscope?
Yeah,
it's not a microscope.
Yeah. Maybe that was distracting you from the dialogue. To be honest,
I saw what was going on. Like I understood what happened there. All I know is that it seemed like a simulation, not a microscope.
Yeah, it totally was something that they like took a video of and then they just showed it on the screen. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. They did what they could with the technology.
I feel like they had microscopes back then. They could have just shown microscope footage.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, they probably could have. But they had to like make something that was going to be able to like assimilate the other cell. You know what I mean? Yeah, so they probably had to do that like graphical effect.
That happens all the time.
I wonder how they did that actually.
They took asteroids.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
They took the game Asteroids and just put asteroids on top of each other.
Is that literally what they did?
No, but that's what it looks like. They just like had a couple pixels, and they had the other pixels go on top of the other. It was like fucking JavaScript 1. I don't even know what the fuck it was.
Probably not even.
Not
man.
even.
In 1982, it's probably nothing like anything we've seen. Yeah, and like computers are so far removed at this point. It's just like not even there.
That's funny. Any other?
Yeah.
I think. Oh, no one knows how to like fall down from being hit by something in this movie.
What? What do you mean?
There was so like when the guy gets shot in the beginning, he falls down like, and it's not quite synced up with the gun, and it's really awkward. And then like when the thing is coming up from underground, it just looks like Kurt Russell jumps into the wall. It's like, come on! I know you could take another take of that.
There's a whole bunch of goofy stuff.
You spent
like that.
millions on this movie, and you couldn't get a one wire for that jump just to make it seem like it was.
Oh, probably not, man. This movie was pretty low budget. They probably were like, we're not doing anything like that.
15 million.
Because if they were getting like
now dollars, though,
that's still pretty small. 15 million in now dollars. Go ahead, find it. The math guy here is gonna find it. What is that? Because it's still probably like under $50 million.
Yeah,
right?
But you also have to assume that, like, oh my god, I don't know. 15 million. It's like
it's got to be
40
like
million.
40 million. That's still pretty small. It's still a pretty small budget, man.
I mean, I don't know.
And also, you have to think like if they got a wire for that one shot.
Yeah.
They got a wire for one shot. If they, because there's no way.
Do you see how?
There's no way.
You see how many fucking
they could
grips
justify
there were on
getting
this
a
movie?
wire.
They had like 50 grips. Get rid of a grip and just get a wire.
Fire a grip, get a wire,
and make it so people fall down like normal people.
Oh my god.
He literally, go back to that scene at some point. He literally jumps into the wall.
All right, look at it.
You see his leg
I didn't notice
flex.
it. I probably did notice it. My brain probably saw it, and I was just like, whatever.
It's so funny, man.
It's a silly movie.
Yeah.
That's so weird. There's so many, like, this guy, his name is, I'm looking at the special effects section, and there's a guy named Gary Zink. He was credited as the welder, but then next to it says uncredited. So he just like, he probably came on set for a day and welded something. And then like, they were just like, we don't need to put his name on it.
Oh my god.
It's very odd.
Yeah, fucking.
So we're coming to that part of the end.
They have so many stunts coordinators.
Oh yeah.
And
you think
the guy who was Kurt Russell's stunt double's name? Dick Warlock.
Whoa. Dick Warlock.
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
I'm changing my name.
Dick Warlock. He was also in Escape from New York, so he's probably doubled for
a couple times.
Yeah, probably. He must really look like him or something.
Big Dick Warlock and Little Vagina.
It was Kurt Russell in Firestarter or Inner Space too? Because I'm looking at Dick Warlock right now.
I'm looking right at that Dick Warlock. Let me just...
Dick Warlock. No.
I don't know what Kurt Russell's been in anymore.
Dick Warlock.
Oh, I forgot he was in Stargate. Stargate. I want to watch that again.
That movie's dumb, dude. It's probably dumber than you remember.
Yeah, I was fucking 9, dude.
Yeah. I really liked that when I was a kid, and then I watched it again not too long ago, and it's pretty stupid.
I liked a couple seasons of the TV show. SG-1.
Oh yeah, I think the TV show ended up like being better. So the movie was directed by the same guy who directed Independence Day and all of those like apocalypse movies where it's just like people running around against like and they're like really stupid and like the dog jumps away from like the explosion. Yeah. I think Independence Day is really dumb.
Yeah, no, Independence Day is terrible.
I really don't like Independence
Come
Day.
at me, all fantasy everything.
Yeah, I can't. Oh my god, that's so funny. I listened to that episode too, and they're all like, "It's so awesome," and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's so dumb."
They have
like
basic
really
taste.
stupid.
They're pretty.
I've noticed that too. Let's not get into that on our podcast. We don't need to talk about that.
Shit.
But like, we're talking shit. Coming at you. We have better taste in movies. Or at least Avery does. What?
You know what? I don't like movies, so it's okay. You can have that one. I hate movies.
Do you hate
I
movies?
don't like movies.
Ash hates movies. We're gonna change the name of the podcast to Ash Hates Movies.
I feel like that's already a podcast. Doug hates movies.
I think it is actually. I think you're right.
Doug hates movies. Not a good movie podcast. I hate Doug hates movies. That should be the name of our podcast.
Ash hates podcasts.
Ash hates Doug hates movies.
What if we had a podcast review podcast?
Is that too much? Are we going over the? Is it too meta?
What if we had a podcast review podcast that reviewed podcast reviews?
Okay. I think Avery just had a stroke. We're gonna have to go.
The layers. There's too many. I'm in too deep.
What if we review our own podcast?
To get us back on track, so we're not talking about utter nonsense. We watched The Thing. It's basically about the Red Scare, by the way. I feel like that goes without saying. I don't think we even brought that up. But it's like thinly veiled, like, oh, even my neighbor could be the Thing. Oh, anybody could be an alien. Like, that was a big thing in the 80s. Everybody remembers.
Your local representatives.
Yeah,
get them killed, or at least blackmailed.
Even your neighbor could turn into a communist.
And then just Kurt Russell turns to the camera. Even you.
I think that was some of the ad campaign for this I was reading. Is one of the taglines was just like, even your neighbor could be the Thing. Ooh.
Spoopy.
Let's
Super
see.
spoopy.
What is it?
Spookiest.
Whoa. Kubrickian is in the Oxford Dictionary, but Carpenter'S isn't. Here's why John Carpenter's silent influence should have earned him the honor.
Yeah, because he fucking copied Kubrickian. What's up?
I just don't think so. I just don't. Anytime, anywhere, anyone is one of the taglines.
Look closely at your neighbor. Trust no one. They might be the Thing.
Yeah.
Look at this thing over here.
Look at this thing. It's a thing. What do we call it?
There are many things like it, but this one is mine.
Anytime, anywhere, anyone.
And then the porno tagline, man is the warmest place to hide.
That's the porno tag. That's the porno like parody. Man is the warmest place to hide. It's a gay porn.
Or pegging, you know, we have options. We know. We become educated.
True, but this was the 80s.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And
I don't think
we all saw
was
Wilford
frequent.
Brimley's mustache. Am I right, guys?
Hey, that was the real thing here. Oh my God, Ash.
Yeah.
We got a 5-word segment, a rating, and would you recommend watching The Thing?
Okay. 5 words. Good movie, but also The Shining. The Shining's 1 word.
I'm not giving that one to you. I'm not going to let you take that.
Good movie.
Good movie,
Kubrick.
but also The Shining. That's like 7 words. No. All right, fine. You can have it.
Movie, but good. There you go.
I'm surprised. I'm almost disappointed it's too many words, but man is the warmest place to hide would be really funny. I was just like, which one of these can I use? So what would you give this movie out of 10, and do you recommend watching it if you haven't already? Like, Jesus.
If you haven't watched it already, if you're over the age of 20, watch it. If you're under the age of 20, don't.
Oh, I think I missed some of that. What did you say?
Oh,
Sorry.
I said if you're over the age of 20, go ahead and watch it. If you're under the age of 20, don't. Because I think that there will be a eventual barrier to enjoyment for this film.
You mean just in the, like, I could see that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a slow burn. It's a slower moving film.
I will say, like, there was like a weird, like in the third act, there was like a weird lull in pace randomly.
You're cutting out really hard,
I'm
man.
so sorry. No, I was just saying there was
okay.
a weird lull. There was a weird lull in pace kind of late in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
In like the third act. And like, I feel like that just doesn't play with people who have every movie in the world at their fingertips now.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Hell yeah, that's fair. I'll take it. All right, 5 words for me. Let's see. It's gonna be They Might Be the Thing. I know that's a cop-out.
Yep, but what else would I expect from my good friend Avery?
Or also the ultimate in alien terror.
That one's
anytime,
worse.
anywhere, anyone, any place, anyhow.
The communists are coming. The communists are coming.
That's basically what this movie's about. Yeah, man, if you haven't seen this movie already, you absolutely should. I mean, it's, you know, despite the soundtrack being slower and not necessarily inviting, this movie's gross. The effects are great. The effects are so much fun. Even if you kind of think they're cheesy, which they can kind of look cheesy, you know, the stop motion looks really good. That's how people used to do it, with stop motion. That's how they made stuff like that happen. And all of that looks great. Everything's gooey and just like disgusting. All of the props are fun. I would say definitely watch this movie. And also, this has been a personal favorite of mine forever. It's not without its flaws, but I give this movie a 9 out of 10. I think it's the closest to being like scary and disgusting as scary and disgusting as possible. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah. You probably knew I was going to rate it really high, though, huh?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I am intrigued about what's going to happen next episode, I have to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I am too. I haven't watched them yet.
No,
I'm going to tell you that much.
I just, the last time I've been able to get you to watch a show, it was the first season of Glow, and you loved it. So I'm hoping that we have a similar experience.
I did like Glow. I also really like Mark Maron, though, and I thought he was one of my favorite parts of that. I like Alison Brie a lot, too.
Yeah.
That show is actually a lot of fun. We could talk about that show at some point.
But
I haven't watched the second season, did you?
I started it. It was good. I don't know why I didn't finish it.
Maybe I'll pick it up.
It's one of those things,
I don't know.
Sometimes you just like, it felt like a one series arc, a one season arc that should have been it.
It kind of seemed like the whole story was already told.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, I'm glad that the people are getting more money to make more, but also I feel like I had a good conclusion. So
yeah, I feel exactly the same way. Kind of interesting.
But I'm interested to see if you have negatives, because I personally don't, but it might be different if you haven't seen all of it, which is going to be kind of the interesting part.
Yeah,
and
we'll see what happens.
We might play with the format a little bit, so that's still something for you guys to look out for, because it's
probably going to change it up.
Yeah, episodic.
We're probably going to have to change it up a little bit as far as the format goes, just because it's going to be different watching a show that isn't completely self-contained.
Right.
But we'll talk about that when we get around to it. That's what you guys are going to be hearing us talk about next week on For the Story. Thank you so much for listening to our voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
You sick fuck.
Anyway, that's where I'm leaving off.
Recommendation before we go.
Okay.
Cardi B doing ASMR. I know it sounds like something everyone should hate, but it's amazing.
That sounds really annoying. I don't want to listen to that.
It's surprisingly chill. Yeah, it's actually, I'm not being sarcastic. It's actually one of the greatest things I've ever heard.
Alright.
This is the hill I die on.
Honestly, send it to me.
Yeah, I was just want to listen to it.
Yeah, I know, I'm kind of interested. Okay, alright guys, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week. We love you.